Hey everybody, it's kind of dark in here. The clouds have moved in. It's crazy out there. Welcome. We're finally back at it with ukulele. I've been through quite a bit of, I've been through COVID, right? So it's been kind of a challenge. And I'm delighted to be back doing this work. Also, today is a terrible day for the United States of America. If you happen to be looking at this 20 years from now, it's ridiculous what's going on in our country, and I can't even begin to tell you how frustrating it is. All right, but today we're here to talk ukulele, and so that's what we're going to do. Let me post our link for today's class on the website. The website is jollyrogerukulele.com. And today we're starting book 1, and then we are starting, we're revisiting everything in book 2, and then we're also doing some new stuff out of the members section. So we got plenty to get to today. Very exciting to be here. Like I say, it's been a long slog between the end of our last broadcast, who knows when it was, and now. So we'll get started here in 2 minutes. I like everybody to have a chance to get in here on time. It looks like we're posted on the website, so let's just double check that things are working properly. jollyrogerukulele.com. Click here. Click here. Here. Ukulele. I keep putting it either at the top of the alphabet or the bottom of the alphabet, depending on what I'm working on, and it's always not where I think it's going to be. All right, we'll put that in there. We'll hit tweet. And let's see. Now that is done. This, if I click here, nothing is happening. Let me try this. We'll see if that makes it go. Click here, scroll down, and clicks open. Hopefully it opens to the Friday dance party, rock party. It did. TuffRawk members dance party. Oh, I got it very fancy. I have one of all of the notes on there. All right, let's see. Well, we'll wait one more minute. We're supposed to start exactly at the top of the hour, so we'll do that. You're going to need your ukuleles, obviously, duh. And first thing we want to do is make sure that you have downloaded the Frère Jacques. What is it? Lesson number 8. Because we're going to do all 8 lessons. The first 8 lessons we're going to do right now. Beautiful. All right, let's see here. Okay, so 3 o'clock, we're going to get started. So the first thing we want to talk about today is on the beginning level or day 1 Jolly Roger ukulele list. If you go to the jollyrogerukulele.com website and click on ukulele and baritone, there's a 30-day plan to get you up and running in fingerstyle ukulele. That's what I teach. That's what I wanted you to be able to do. It does include singing and strumming. It does include picking individual melodies out, and then of course it includes combining everything together in a chord melody arrangements that I call Tuff uke because it's tough to do. On today's lesson, there is a PDF called Introduction to the Program, and basically it just gives you some information and background about what we do and how we do it, and a little bit of more information about the website. That page should take you 2 minutes to read. The second page on this lesson number 2 is doing ukulele right. The big takeaways on that page are that in this program we do baritone ukulele and traditional ukulele, and so you'll be able, it doesn't matter which one you have, we'll be doing both. I want you to use a strap on your ukulele because you're going to need to use both hands, And so all you do is put a little button on the end here, drill a little hole, stick this thing on the end. Amazon has every kind of strap you could ever possibly imagine. So I want you to have a strap on your ukulele. That way you don't have to hold the ukulele. Don't get the strap with the little clip on it. Those don't work. And then there's only one rule that I care about. The pad of your thumb hangs out on the back of the ukulele neck. I should never see your thumb. Right, it's going to hang out here, and wherever your middle finger is, your thumb is hanging out right behind it. So if your middle finger's down here, your thumb's down there. Okay, that's it. That's the only rule. Everything else is up for discussion. That one is not. Let's see. You're not going to need a capo. You're not going to need a pick, so you can throw those away. And in terms of ukulele size, you really do need to have a tenor. For most adults, this is the size of my hands. Tenor is the correct size. Unless you have short fingers or really small hands, soprano or concert are probably not right for you. Probably not. And if you have much bigger hands, then baritone is probably going to be your better choice. There's a list of stuff you'll need on there. A discussion about the strings that need to be changed once a year, and you really do want to use fluorocarbon strings and not the strings that came on your ukulele, and a few other just general notes on that piece of paper. Holding your ukulele needs to be at a 60-degree angle, right? So this is about the way that you want to be holding your ukulele. So take a minute to review that page. It's got a lot of good stuff on there. Tuning. If you are on a standard ukulele, it's George Clooney Eats Apples, and this one's higher unless your ukulele is specifically built with a low G string. George Clooney eats apples, G, C, E, A. And what you do want this, I know it costs $14 or $20, something in that neighborhood, is this particular tuner. Let's see if I can get it. I can get it. It's called the Super Tight HZ. It's made by Snark. I think it's ST8. Just type in Snark and write current model into Amazon. It'll give you one. The one that came with your ukulele is not this one, and it's cheaper and it's not as good. That's what you want. So eventually get one of these. Also download a tuner onto your phone so that if you forget this, you can at least get tuned up. You'll be tuning up every single time you play. George Clooney eats apples. George Clooney eats apples. So that's that. Baritones, when we get to you guys, we'll talk a little bit about your tuning, a little bit different. And then getting to know your fretboard. There is a sheet on the paper on, I think, what do I call it? I call it lesson number 4. And that's where I talk about what the notes are. So A, B, C, and so on. You do not need to know this information. I put it up there for people who've had prior musical experience, who have to know what the notes are. You do not have to know them. We have a much better system that we're going to be using than memorizing the notes on the fretboard, and it's much faster and much easier. Eventually, you'll come to know where all those notes are anyway, so you don't need to spend any time thinking about that. I just put it up there because we do occasionally have people who are like crazed that they're supposed to know that. On here you have the greatest ukulele chord chart in existence, and you should copy that and put that into your notebook that you have, or at least all of these things. If you have an iPad, obviously you do it that way. That's a much better system. But the ukulele chord chart is there. Now here's the thing: out in the real world, when you're playing ukulele, you're going to run into people who are chord crazy. Don't listen to those people. Okay, you don't need to know every chord. You need to know about a third of those when you've been playing after about 4 or 5 years. So you don't need to know all of these chords on this piece of paper, so don't be thinking that you do. Okay, it's there for your help. Baritones, I am working on yours. It's mind-numbingly boring work to put those things together, and I haven't got it done yet, so I will get that done for you. Lesson number 6 is about practice logs. You guys have heard in music it's a good idea to practice. This is why you quit whatever instrument you used to play if you didn't practice. The nice part about ukulele is it's not as demanding as those other instruments to get started. You should keep a practice log. It'll just be help you be honest with yourself. If you practice 1 time a week just here in the lesson, you'll make a certain amount of progress. If you practice 7 days a week for 6 hours a day, you'll make faster progress. I don't recommend that. I think start with 10-15 minutes a day. I always say 1 minute a day is plenty. It's the sitting down and getting your ukulele out and getting the sheet music in front of you that's the hard part. So do that every day. Spend 1 minute sitting down, get the ukulele out, tune it up, put sheet music in front of you, and then if that's all you get done, then that's fine. Just then put everything back and go to bed, right? But what's really going to happen is once you're sitting down and in front of your sheet music, in front of the work you want to be doing, you'll end up playing for 30 minutes anyway. So use that practice log to your advantage. It's on there for a reason. Nobody that I know ever fills it out, but you should. All right, and then the last thing, lesson number 7 is the progress tracker, and I did update that just recently, so it's pretty close to what we're actually doing these days, and it goes through all of the lessons, and you have already done now the first 7 lessons, and so you can mark those off and write yourself a note that you had done them, and then we're going to now look at lesson number 8, and that's the one that matters today, and this is the most important piece of music in the entire program. So I want you to pull up Frère Jacques, either on your binder or in your iPad or wherever it works, and that's the key, right? Get Frère Jacques in front of you where you can look at it. We're going to go through all of the pieces and parts on it. I've got my iPad here in front of me, and I'm going to pull up my copy of Frère Jacques. I see Nancy has made it in. Hey Nancy, and Sandy is in today, so good to have you guys. I'm talking really, really fast because we have a lot to get through in this day 1 class, and it's the reason I can talk this fast is you can always go back and revisit this video. I'm going to make sure to fit the entire lesson in the first 20-25 minutes so that you don't have to spend the entire time here listening to all the other stuff unless you want to. Okay, so I am pulling up Ukulele Book 1, Frère Jacques for ukulele. Don't pull up the baritone one yet. Okay, we're going to use the ukulele one. Even if you have a baritone, pull up the ukulele one so we're all working on the same page. Hey Linda, welcome in. Now, on Frère Jacques, this is I've never not taught new ukulele players this piece of paper, even when I'm teaching college level music students. This is what I show them first, because if you can understand this page, every single thing else in the program is going to make perfect sense. Okay, so the first thing on here is the title of the song, obviously, and the website that sends you to the Ukulele Orchestra website. You're going to come to the Jolly Roger website for all of the lessons. So the Ukulele Orchestra's website is sort of the overarching thing, right? That's what I want all players to get good enough to feel comfortable being a part of there. But really, the nuts and bolts of it happen on Jolly Roger. So that's the website, right? And looks like we think this song is from 1780 or so. Nobody knows for sure. On here, you'll see the baritone chord up at the top. You don't need to worry about that yet unless you're a baritone player, and we'll talk about that in just a second. What I do want you to do is the A chord, okay, which is right. You'll see a quarter note equals 80. That just tells the computer how fast to play it. You'll see a treble clef. You don't need to worry about that. You'll see some sharps, or they look like hashtags or pound signs. You're not going to worry about those. You have a system to replace those. You'll see 4/4. That is important. That means there's going to be 4 beats in every measure, and the measures are divided up by vertical lines. So there's 2 measures on the first line, 2 measures on the second line, 2 measures on the third line, and 2 measures on the fourth line, and there's lots of stuff going on in each measure. So those are your vertical lines, and there's going to be 4 beats in each of those. In the first 2 measures, there are 4 notes, so it works out pretty nice, but all the other ones have different number of notes in them. Then next to that is the actual standard notes. You'll see those up there. You're going to spend very little time on those. How long those last is important, but where they are and what they mean going vertically is not important to you. And right above that is this little grid, and it says A above it, and that's your A chord. How you play the A chord, you're going to put your index finger, count them up. Bottom string is 1, second string, third string, that's where your index finger goes. And again, make sure your thumb is not sticking up here. You're going to make your job harder. Your thumb is down here, pad of it is against the back of the neck, and index finger. Linda, did I say hi to you? I can't remember. I keep seeing your name. I don't know if I said hi to Linda. So there's your index finger, and that should look pretty comfy to you. Let me pull up my actual thing here. Right there. Okay, and my finger's coming basically straight down on top of that. Better, this is not the best. Having it way in the back of the fret isn't great. You don't want it on top of the metal wire in fret 1. You just want it right there in the middle, right? Just maybe toward the front. You start in the middle, maybe move it up just a little bit. That's where you want that finger. Same thing with your middle finger. It's going to go on this top string up here. You see that? And it's going to be basically in the middle of the fret, maybe a little bit forward. Just make sure it's not all the way in the back of the fret or sitting on top of the fret wire. Just right in the middle. Okay, those are the two things that you would put down. And you can see if I hold this up in front of you, your strings are all going down just like they are on the paper, right? You've got 4 lines going down. Those are your strings. You got this heavier line on the chord chart. That's where the nut is. And then the dots are telling you, put your fingers and hold those down. How hard do you have to squeeze? If you get that sound, you want to squeeze a little bit harder. Okay? And you're going to play all 4 strings. Okay? For now, thumb down is fine. Okay? 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 And then we are going to play 4 beats in every measure. I am about to sing, and those of you students who have been with me a while know this is never good. Okay, I'm not a singer. From the top, 1, 2, ready, play. Frère Jacques, Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous. Sonnez les matines, sonnez les matines, ding, dang, dong, ding, dang, dong. Okay, so we've done the last measure. I only did 3 strums because the song is over, but you could have done 4, right? That's how we strum. Okay, just thumb down, hold your chord, and strum. Okay, all the chords in this song are the same. So that's step 1. I want you to do one other thing and practice this week. Is you take these 4 fingers, thumb, index, middle, and ring. And by the way, I was laying in bed for 2 weeks with COVID, and I've managed to grow my fingernails out to proper classical guitar length, and so they're sticking up. I'm back in the real world, and these will end up breaking off here in no time. So don't be grossed out by them. They will be gone here pretty quick. But for the moment, it's like, this is what they talk about when having good, nice fingernails look like. I want you to take thumb on the top string, index finger underneath the 3rd string, your C string, middle finger underneath your 2nd string, that's your E string, and ring finger underneath your 1st string, or your A string, right? And then just collapse your knuckles. Okay? Try not to do this. Right? That's not ideal. Just collapse them like that. Just collapse them. Okay? This particular shape and this particular thing, I call it claw plucking, okay? You'll find other names out there, but that's what it is, right? Claw plucking. And this is what I want you to work on, more so than just your thumb down. The thumb down's fine, okay? But claw plucking is going to turn out to be super handy for fingerstyle. And so let's get comfy with it early. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping? Brother John, Brother John. Morning bells are ringing, morning bells are ringing. Ding, dang, don, ding, dang, don. Okay, so I did 4 beats on that last measure, and then added one more beat at the at the end of the song, sort of thing. Notice that I didn't change my pattern based on what's going on in the song. I didn't say Brother John and then not play anything. Brother John. Okay, I went ahead and played the beats because your right hand is in charge of keeping track of where the beats are happening in the music. And so don't let the melody be in charge of that. Just keep those four plucks going every measure. Next thing that we want to talk about, so that's your chord homework. Make sure you can get an A chord on. Make sure you can play the song with your thumb going down, and make sure you can play the song with this 4-finger pattern claw plucking. Bum, bum, bum. Those are the two most important right hand skills I can teach you on day one, right? That's the stuff you're gonna be using it every single day for the rest of your life. And so let's get both of those under control. This is by far the harder one, to control your fingers. It's surprising how independent hands want to be. Now, all that aside, that's lovely. That's what they teach you in normal ukulele world. Is here's some chords, and we're going to play, and we're going to strum those, and we're going to sing songs. What if you hate singing? What if you're a terrible singer like me? What if we let the ukulele do the singing instead of your face? And that's where this program separates itself from other programs out there. I want you to be able to sing and strum if you want to. I also want you to be able to create music without singing. And so that's where tablature comes into play. I want you to look on your paper at the ukulele melody line. All it says is you see 4 lines, right? And those are going to represent your strings. And then you see some numbers, and those represent your frets. Okay? So if it says 0, you're just going to hit that string wide open. And if it says 2, you're going to play the 2nd fret. So notice your frets are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On fret number 5, there's either a dot on the front of your fretboard, or it may be over here on the side. Okay, on this particular ukulele, it's here on the side. There's a dot on 5, and then 6, 7 also has a dot, and then 8, 9, and 10. 10 will have a dot on ukuleles, and then finally 11 and 12. Okay, 12 will have a dot. Now, if you have a concert or a tenor, you have extra frets down here. We won't use those. If you have just a soprano, you probably stops at 12. You need 12. You don't need more than 12. Flutes only have 8, so that tells you really don't need all these frets down here. They're just for show. Then what we want to do is play this melody based on which fret it tells us to. So we're going to use our thumb, first string, just on the bottom string. Okay, and the first note says 0 on the ukulele melody line, so we'll play a 0. Then it says a 2. Use your middle finger. If you look in the lyrics, I tell you which finger to use. Okay, and then a 4. Use your pinky, and then take everybody off to make a 0, and then do it again. Open, 2, 4, and open. Now on measure number 3 on the next line, you see 4, 5, 7. So, and then in the lyrics, you see it says index, middle, pinky. So slide up to your index finger up to 4. That's the one right before the dot. And you're going to play 4, 5, 7. So 4, middle finger on 5, and pinky finger on 7. Do that again. 4, 5, 7. Okay? Do that twice in a row on that line. The next line says 797-540. Now, here's what's important. If you have prior music knowledge, you know those eighth notes are fast. You're supposed to play. This is the hard part of the song. You're supposed to play it fast. Not this week. This week, your job is to get the notes clean and pretty at whatever speed you can get to them. And so going fast is not a goal. Obviously, next week when we get together, we will replay the song and we will play it at full speed. But I don't want you to necessarily work on that. I want you to take your time to get your fingering correct. So the next note is a 7, and I want you to use your ring finger. Check the lyrics. It says 7 ring. So 7, and then pinky up here on 9. There's no dot there. And then you take your pinky back off, and your 7 is still hanging out there. And then use your middle finger. You'll have to stretch just a little bit as you're taking your ring finger off to get your middle finger for the 5. Index on 4. If you're a millennial, this is your pointer finger. This fancy term is called index. I found out they don't teach that anymore. Index, and then open. Measure 6 is the same. 7, 9, 7, 5, 4, open. And then in measure 7 and 8, notice you get to use the second string here. You got a 0 on the first string, a 0 on the second string, and then a 0 on the first string. Again, 0 on the first string, 0 on the second string, 0 on the first string. Okay? So, what we've done here is played the melody. Okay? And that's the part you would sing in the shower if you're going down the road tonight and you're going out to to the disco. You're going to be having the song in your head, and that's the melody. Dun, 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 dun. So now let's play the whole thing together. We will play measures 5 and 6 at half speed so that you can get the things right. Next week we will play it at full speed when we get started on the next lesson in the series. Okay, so from the top, you melody only. 1, 2, ready, play. 0, 2, 4. 0, 2, 4. 0, 4, 5, 7. 4, 5, 7. Ring finger. 7, 9, 7, 5, 4. Open. 7, 9, 7, 5, 4. Open. First string, second string, first string, first string, second string, first string. Okay. This week, your job is to do three things. Well, 4 things. 5 things. Make sure your ukulele is tuned up. Make sure your thumb stays back here. Make sure you know how to make an A chord and either claw plug it or thumb strum it. Okay? And then your job is to play what we just played from the paper in front of you, the Frère Jacques 0240, 0240. Next week, we will work on playing it at full speed. Let me play it for you just so you know where you're headed. Okay, that's it. That's your goal for the week. So if you are new to the program, I think everyone, the people who've been in the program would tell you, Gary's a little bonkers for this Frère Jacques song. But those of you guys that have been around a while, you'll agree with me. That's the whole thing right there. There's one other thing we do, which we take the A chord and we combine it with the melody notes, and it sounds really cool. And we will be starting that process in short order. We don't do it on this song because this song doesn't agree with the way we typically do chord melody playing. So know that this piece of paper is about 3/4 of everything you're going to need to know in your lifetime for playing ukulele at the highest levels. Obviously, the chords get more complicated, the speed picks up, the melodies get more interesting and more complicated. When we combine the chords and the melody together, we do lots of fancy little things to make that really super cool. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to that basic concept. We're going to play some chords, we're going to play some melody, and we're going to smash them together. And so this piece of paper is super, super important. Baritones, very quickly, baritones, your chord shape looks like this: index, middle, and ring, and it's all crammed down here into that first fret. So next week when we play Frère Jacques, you're going to hold an A chord on your instrument, and it's going to look like this. Ukulele players, you're going to end up holding an E chord. You're going to have a bar on the 4th fret with your pinky on 7, okay? Okay, so we're going to talk about that here in just a moment, but this will be one of the things that we work on next week when we play with the baritones. Bar on 4, pinky on 7, the first string. Okay, in the beginning it sounds like this, right? That's the sound that will come out of your instrument, and that's fine. That's how we are playing it. Let's very quickly take a look at the baritone sheet music. And a lot of times ukulele players who are newer to the program, they're like, why do we have to do the baritones when I don't even own a baritone? And the main reason is that this is really what I teach is ensemble playing. Really what I do is I get you the skills where if you were going to go out to the coffee shop and play at an open mic, you would be very successful at that. But that's not really what I want you to do. What I really want you to do is be able to go to the ukulele strum along in your neighborhood, to start a ukulele group in your neighborhood, to sit in with guitar players or banjo players or fiddlers or pianists, and you'll know what to do. And so that's pretty, in my mind, it's pretty important that you are able to play in multiple different ways. Baritone players. This is a baritone. Everything's exactly the same on a baritone that it is on a ukulele, except that it's in a different key. And so if we look at Frère Jacques for baritones, you'll see up there the GCEA ukulele chord shape. It's a bar on 4 with your pinky on 7. Okay, so when we play on baritones, that's the chord shape you're going to make next week. baritone players, for this week, you're going to be playing the same chord as the ukulele players, only it's going to be called an E chord. Okay, so. Okay. Frère Jacques, Frère Jacques, and so on, right? And then you're going to claw pick it, Frère Jacques, Frère Jacques, and it's going to be great. And then you're going to go through and do the melody, okay? And so on. Ukulele players, when we're doing melody on here, you can't do melody at the same time because this instrument is tuned to a different key and it sounds really wonky and like you're doing something wrong, because you are. And so we will not be doing that. I'm playing on baritone melody on ukulele, you're going to be playing the chord, and vice versa. So when I'm on ukulele, and I know Nancy is here and I know she owns a baritone, she's going to be playing the whatever. If we're on melody on ukulele, she'll be on chords on baritone with the correct shape. And so it ends up sounding really cool at your house. It doesn't sound like anything to me because I'm just playing one instrument, but at your house you get the benefit of having a different instrument being played at the same time you're playing, and you get used to the idea that you're doing your job and somebody else is doing their job, and together we make a lovely duet, and eventually duets turn into small ensembles, and small ensembles turn into giant ensembles, and then you have some real skills. So that's where we're at with this. You will obviously on all of the paperwork is websites and so on. You send me emails if you get confused or lost or you're like, what the heck is going on? With these classes were super popular during the pandemic shutdown. Since then they've gotten down to really small numbers, and I don't care about that. What I do care about is if you're coming into this now and you're like, hey man, I want to learn how to play ukulele at a higher level than other places are teaching. This is here, it's free, and you can jump in and play some really nice stuff. And if you decide, hey, I really like what we're doing, get a membership, and then it's cheap. It's $5 for the first week and $25 a quarter after that, and you can have access to the entire everything. There's hundreds of songs on the main website on the members section, and a lot of it is really good. Some of it's malarkey, but most of it's like, holy cow, if I could learn to play 10 of these songs, I would die a happy musician. And so there's more than enough to keep you busy over there. Let's see. I think that's what I want to say today. Stay focused in. Get a strap for your ukulele if you don't have one. Don't get the kind with the clip on it. Those are not going to help. You need a real strap on it. Make sure your thumb stays behind there. Get a good tuner. Don't use the cheapie. You can use the cheapies till they break, but when it's time to get a good tuner, get a good tuner. Get that snark. The current version of snark, whatever it is, they're way better than the other things. Tune up your ukulele every single time you play. Don't let more than a year go by before changing strings. Your ukulele can sound better if the strings are a year old. They're out of tune. Also, go ask whoever changes your strings, if it's you or the guitar shop, you want fluorocarbon on your instrument, not Nylagut, not Aquila. Those are the kinds of strings that come on your ukulele when you buy them. They're there because they're affordable, not because they're the best. And then. And all the fluorocarbon strings are basically the same. I've tried them all, and there's not a significant difference between the $20 ones and the $10 ones. So just as long as it's fluorocarbon. I usually recommend people use the Savarez strings, Savarez strings. They've been a little bit hard to get a hold of with supply chain stuff. So, but that's what I put on all the ukuleles that I change strings around here, and I've tried them all. And then chords. Two ways of doing it, with your thumb and with your claw, and playing the melody. Okay, that's what I want you to work on this week. Next week we will revisit this and make sure that we know that what I think I said, I actually said to you. And then the very exciting thing is that then we dig into, after Frère Jacques, we just start digging into more and more technical stuff. So we start immediately next week with the key of A major book. We start running through a bunch of chords to get you set up doing that. We work on bar chords in the very next lesson, and then we work on some major scales to get you thinking like a real musician. And then in lesson 12, which you're already on lesson 9, lesson 8 today, we finally get around to the playing in the key of C, which is where our bread and butter is, right? And then after that, we are all about chords and melody. By then, you'll feel so comfortable with your chords and with picking out melodies that you will be ready for chord melody, which happens at lesson 13. So we have a good future ahead. If you miss a lesson, they're all recorded and they're on the video archive on the site. They're all free. You can just go and find whatever you missed, and it's down. Now, that's the end of book 1. Thank you for being here. If you're new to the program, you can sneak out. You don't need us to hang around. Let's talk book 2, okay? And today we're going to talk Drunken Sailor. So let me pull that up. And why am I talking about Drunken Sailor, peeps? Do we know why? Why would I want you to do this song? Ukulele book 2. Where are you? Give me an idea why you think that I think is we need to start with Drunken Sailor. This is not the world's greatest song. This is not a song that you're going to play on a daily basis. This is not a song that's like, oh gosh, I'm so excited that I was able to get my hands on, right? None of you are piping in. I don't even know if the chat bar is working. Who cares? The reason we're going to work on Drunken Sailor is the other day when we were having a little party over here at my house and we had a bunch of the ukulele players here, we did a song. I had a D minor in it. I said, how many of you guys don't know your D minor? And about half the group were like, oh, I forgot. I don't know what a D minor looks like. So we got to fix that. And this is how we do it. So you'll notice over on page 2 of Drunken Sailor, you have additional verses. There's 17, 18, 19 total verses in the song, and so 19 times through you should probably be able to play this song. Importantly, hey Carol, welcome in. Importantly, on book 2, I don't care what the chords are anymore. In book 1, I care a lot what the chords are. I really am very programmatic and very specific about which chords are where. And Nancy says, we could play this on Speak Like a Pirate Day. When is that? I forget when that is, but yes, you could play it then. What we're really, but in book 2, whatever the chords are, they are, and it was so the songs are generally public domain, so I can just leave them on the website and people can come by and pick them out and enjoy them. But the chord, I don't worry if the chord happens to be a B minor. It's a B minor, and you're just like, well, I don't like B minor, and I'm like, I don't like B minor either, but that's what it is. And so that is what we've got to work on in book 2. Is, hey, you've got a bunch of chords that you're going to run into, and some of them aren't exactly in your wheelhouse, and I really do want you to be able to be like, okay, I have had some experience with them. So we're going to run through this song in all of these different keys over here. And so let's start with the key that the song is in, and you'll notice it's an ensemble version. So the baritone and the ukulele will use the same piece of paper, and I want to double check that I'm telling you the truth here. Yeah, it is the same piece of paper. You're both working from the same piece of paper. Now, the ukulele players have the actual chord chart written out in D minor. Okay, so on D minor, ukulele players, you're going to play this shape. Now D minor is an F chord, and you add your ring finger. Isn't that a beautiful chord, right? That's like, oh, that's why I came for ukulele. That's awesome. And so I got to move my little face over here. It's in the way. I want you to feel super comfortable with D minor because it comes up all of the time. And so if you're on ukulele, okay, and its companion chord is a C, of course you know that one. Okay, so if we take those two together, hey Jan and Charlie, good to see you guys. If we take those two chords, what shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do? The drunken sailor, what shall we do with the drunken sailor? Lie in the morning. Hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises, lie in the morning. Okay, and then we're going to do it in all these other chords as well. However, I'm going to be playing baritone. Since I know most of you guys have ukuleles in your hand, you need to hear a different environment. Okay, so I'm going to grab a baritone. Okay, now baritone, you guys, your D minor looks like that. Okay, it sounds the same, generally speaking, as the ukulele, but deeper, right? Because this is tuned at a lower tuning. Still a D minor, just a darker D minor. Okay, and how do I know that that's the shape? Well, I look over on the chord chart on page 2, and under baritone, just go down to D minor. Okay, there. That's what I would do. And then the C chord. In ukulele, you guys are like, oh, C chord's the greatest. In baritone, you're like, it's okay, right? It's not terrible. Index finger, middle finger, and okay, and that's your C chord. Now, let's play together. I'm going to strum, but if you are on ukulele, I want you to pluck. Okay, we got to get control of this plucking hand. So use your 4-finger pluck, and the baritones. Let's create this big deep sound. Okay, and Nancy, since you know how to do this stuff, I expect you're playing the melody. Right? Let's see how she does. From the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Lie in the morning. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Lie in the morning. Okay, and then it repeats, obviously, for 19 times. Right, so there's D minor and C. Now, if you're on ukulele, the big takeaway is, because this is a chord that's coming up in your life, you know your C shape, right? Your D minor shape is an F chord, add the ring finger. Now, commit it to memory, okay? It's coming up, right? This is how you make a D minor. All right, so now let's go down through the list and see what things you know and what things you don't know. Obviously, some of them are in your wheelhouse, some of them are not. F minor going to E flat is unlikely to be in any of our wheelhouses, but it does come up, and so I want you to have some experience with it. So let's take a look at A minor and G. If you're on ukulele, A minor is here, right? Just your index finger up there. And notice, if I use my ring finger here and turn it into a bar chord, it's going to be super handy. We're going to use that on a lot of different places. So when you play just a regular A minor, you'll use your middle finger. But when you play any of its friends, you'll probably use a ring finger and a bar, right? So A minor becomes a sharp minor, becomes a B minor, becomes a C minor, C sharp minor, D minor, and so on. So that's a real handy chord shape that's going to become a bar chord. Okay, and then your G chord looks like a baritone D chord. Okay, so you've got your index, middle, and that all comes from early in book 1, right? We turn you on to G chord pretty quickly in the program. I think, less than 9 or 10, somewhere in there. It's the harder of the chords to get started when you're first going, and so your G chord looks like that. Okay, now baritones. Our A minor looks like their D minor. Okay, index, middle, and ring. Okay, there's our A minor. And then our G looks like their C. Okay, so now let's play together. The phrase is shave his belly with a rusty razor. Okay, 1, 2, ready, play. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Lie in the morning. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Lie in the morning. hit the repeat, do it again. Okay, so there's your A minor. A minor and G are coming up in your lives, whether you're on baritone, these shapes, or on ukulele, A minor, G. Those are coming up. And in fact, on ukulele, it's a little bit harder than on baritone to get those in. Commit those to memory. They are going to come up in your life. A minor in particular, you probably have that pretty solid from book 1, probably, and so so you may not need, you may already have it in your noggin. Let's talk about B minor and A. Okay, so notice here's your A minor. To get a B minor, we just slide that up 2 frets and add a bar. Okay, so that's your B minor. Okay, it's a bar chord. When your bar chords, when you first start, you guys know they sound like this. Okay, and that's fine. Just let them be that way. Okay, because there comes a day when it comes in. Okay, but it's going to take a while, and so don't feel bad about hitting crummy bar chords. We all do it. If you don't do it, you'll be the first person in history to not hit crummy bar chords, and you don't want that onus on your shoulders to be the first successful bar chord person ever. Play some bad bar chords. It's fine. Okay, they get better. You'll get it figured out. And then from B minor, you have to go to A major, and that's what we learned today in Frère Jacques, right? And so from B minor to A major. Baritones, you have a little bit more work to do on this one. Your B minor's here, and it's going to go over here to the A chord. Okay? So there's a lot of motion in your hand, which is not exactly pleasant, so you've got to work on that a little bit. Okay, when I'm talking about changing chords, when you have a weird chord that you haven't done a ton, you really need to talk about how do I get into it and how do I get out of it. So A, we've done a ton of, right? But B minor, not so much. So if I'm in B minor, to get to the A here, I'm going to strategize. Well, I got to get my index finger up here, and then these other 2 guys, I'm going to pull them along. Okay, so the key with that, get your index finger down first to get to the A. To get back, I got to get everybody out of the way. I'm still going to plant my index finger first so I can then run this. So really, in this particular chord pair, index finger is playing a pretty important role. It's really leading you both ways. Okay, on ukulele, if you're going from B minor to A, I'm thinking, all right, I got this bar. Obviously, I got to get my index finger planted first, get that down, and then coming back, I'm probably thinking, I got to get this ring finger down. That's the first note I'm going to hit coming down if I'm strumming, and then the bar will jump on, right? Index, ring, index, ring, and so give yourself a moment to strategize around how to get from one chord to the other. It does make a difference. It will make you faster and more confident. Right? Let's play it. Our phrase is put him in bed with the captain's daughter. Okay? B minors, please. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put him in bed with the captain's daughter. Put him in bed with the captain's daughter. Put him in bed with the captain's daughter. Why in the morning? Hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises early in the morning. Okay, so there is well, 3 different ways. I think I did some plucking, I did some arpeggio picking, I've done some thumb down. Be mindful that when you're on chords, you need to be smart and wise and creative with your right hand, because this you will get. This is interesting to talk about in the beginning, but it doesn't last very long. This is where the music comes from. Make your right hand interesting. All right, that's B minor and A. Let's go to C minor and B flat. Ukulele players, you're going to hate it. Okay, so C minor is here. Cover these 3. Let me grab a ukulele so that I can do this in the right key. The C minor, you have a couple of choices. The one that's on the paper here is just this little mini bar, right? Leave the top string open and then hit these 3. Dun da da dum da da dum da dun dun, and then your beloved B flat chord, bar, A shape in front. Dun 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 dun, or dun 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 dun, right? So that's a tough one on ukulele, is C minor to B flat. Is C minor coming up in your life? Well, yeah, it already has. It was in Home on the Range. Okay, is B flat coming up in your life? Every single day, right? So don't treat them as like, oh, I hate those. Treat those as, I'm not that great at those yet, right? That's how you think about chords, is I'm not that great at them yet. There's lots of chords I'm not that great at yet, okay? The other thing I will tell you, notice your B minor is here. Okay? If you take that contraption and slide it up one, that's also a C minor, okay? So you could do the whole bar chord with your ring finger, da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, bum, 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 and then just slide it down to the B flat. Ba-da-bum, bum, ba-da-dum, bum, 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 ba-da-dum, bum, ba-da-dum, bum, ba-da-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, 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 right? So you could do it that way, or do it the open part followed by the closed formation. Both of those are totally legit. Pretty challenging chord pair. Are they coming up in your life? Yeah. Yep. So just work on them a little bit. And then for baritone, this doesn't come up a ton, but it's super cool. There's your C chord. It's kind of scary, your C minor. Dum, 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 dum. And that's followed by the B flat chord, which is this one. Dum, 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 which I love, baritone. So now let's see if we can do it together. Phrase is chuck him in the longboat until he's sober. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chuck him in bed. Let me try it again. Ready, go. Chuck him in the longboat until he's sober. Chuck him in the boat until he's sober. Chuck him somewhere until he's sober. Early in the morning. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Early in the morning. Okay, so that's a pretty challenging one for both instruments, right? By the way, I don't have a strap on this baritone, and I'm finding it really difficult to hang on. So if you have not put a strap onto your instrument yet, do that. If I'm fighting it, you probably are going to be fighting it too. There's C minor and B flat. Those work together, okay? We already did D minor and C, so now let's talk E minor and D. So ukulele, your E minor and D is the same as a baritone B minor and A. So you're going to go from that chord position, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to flip it over to that chord position. So then your E minor, by the way, on ukulele, this is awesome. It's going to sound beautiful. E minor, and then going over to your D chord. Okay, D chord's a little bit challenging. I taught guitar last night, and their D chord is an A chord on that instrument. And of course, they're all like, "Oh man, I can barely fit it in here." And I'm like, "You guys have guitars. You have way more room. Wait till you get a ukulele. It's really cramped in here." So on baritone, we have a little bit more room, but on ukulele, it's pretty squishy, right? So you'll get better at it. It takes a little bit of work, but you can do it. And then baritones, we're in tall cotton. This is your E minor right there, okay? And your D chord is just the G chord from ukulele, okay? Dun, 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 done. If you ever took guitar, these are the first two chords that you probably were taught anyway, E minor and D. All right. The phrase is going to be, let's see. Let's try, take him in, shake him in, try to wake him. Take him in, shake him in, try take him in, shake him in, try and wake him. That's what we're going to try, okay? E minor. 1, 2, ready, go. Take him and shake him and try to wake him. Shake him and shake him and try to wake him. Take him and shake him and try to wake him. Early in the morning. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, what am I? Up she rises. Early in the morning. I was like, what am I doing? All right, so those chords are pretty doable, and we're talking about, obviously you're having to listen to me sing, which is terrible, but if you are doing an instrumental piece, there are lots of pieces that we have in the member section that have those chords in them, and so if you've gotten comfortable singing through them and just doing them as chord sets, then it's really easy to drop into those other areas where is it possible that while I'm holding an E minor, I'm going to be playing some type of melody? Probably, right? If I'm holding a G or a D for baritone. So they're coming up as part of your chord melody progressions as well, so it's easier to study them and get them in your head doing it this way, and then when you find them in real sheet music, you're like, oh yeah, we've done those before. We're a little tight on time, so we'll skip over F minor, E flat, but notice your F minor, E flat on ukulele is exactly the same as C minor, B flat on baritone, right? So those shapes are the same, and then F minor, E flat, right, for ukulele, and then for baritone you're doing this shape B. It's a B. It looks like a B minor, but it really would be a B flat minor on ukulele. It is your F minor, and it's going to go to E flat, which is just adding your index finger. So look at how convenient that one is. Wide open index finger, wide open middle finger. Sorry, bar, middle finger, bar, middle finger. In the arpeggio book that I wrote, I take advantage of this over and over and over. The fact that this chord and this chord make a great pair, don't they? And you can just hear it. Bum, 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 ba-da-da-dum, bum, bum, bum. They make a great pairing, and so you're going to see that a lot in both ukulele and baritone music and guitar music, honestly. That business of just adding your middle finger in on the second string and you have its friend hanging out right there, going to get used quite a bit. So then let's wrap up this round of everything with G minor and F. Okay, so your G minor on on ukulele looks like a D minor on baritone. Okay, pretty straightforward. That one you probably have run into, and then of course F, you've run into that one from the beginning. Okay, and baritone players, now's your chance to use this little partial chord, G minor, going to an F. Okay, and then if you're on ukulele, be nice to your baritone friends. That B flat shape that you hate so much, that's their F chord, right? And F chord comes up quite a bit, as you know. So, okay, there's that. All right, so now let's take a look at playing let's say this is our last time through, right? We've played it in 18 verses and we're down to the last verse. That's what we do with the drunken sailor. That's your final verse. Okay, G minor and F. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what we do with the drunken sailor. That's what we do with the drunken sailor. That's what we do with the drunken sailor. Lie in the morning. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises early in the morning. Right? And then you probably put on some sort of fancy ending on it. Okay, there's a nice little G note on 15, right? So the takeaway today, guys, is you're probably never going to play Drunken Sailor as an instrumental, right? I mean, just I'll grab a ukulele and I'll show you how it's not really meant to be used that way. It's fine, but it's not great. just not something. I mean, you want to play it big and bold and beautiful. The other thing I think is important when you're putting these chord pairs together, you make extensive use of chord pairs in the guitar program because guitar is kind of hard to play. So I have a whole book, 20 some songs, where that's all they do in that entire book is switch from one chord to the other chord and back. And in that book, they're almost all major chords. This one is all minor chords going to a major friend. And so it is a super valuable skill in that you get to memorize, hey, this shape goes to this shape, this shape goes to that shape. And once you have those shapes memorized, it doesn't matter whether you're on a guitar or a baritone. The shapes are going to be the same. What key you happen to be in will be different. And so put these to memory. The other reason you want to know all of those, if you ever get invited, there will come a day when somebody says, hey, I need you to come to my house for my child's bar mitzvah, and I need you to sing Drunken Sailor. You're going to need to know which keys your voice goes into better on this song than others. So if I'm going through this, I'm paying attention to when I'm in the key of A minor, how does that fit my voice? When I'm in D minor, how does it fit my voice? And finding the one that feels the most comfortable for my voice. If you're working with a singer, a lot of times they don't know what their best key is. They know what their low note is and their high note is, but they don't necessarily know what keys are going to fit their voice particularly well, and you may have to experiment with that. And that's where getting comfortable with working in all of the different keys is helpful, and knowing a lot better your foundational chords so that then you can make the necessary adjustments as you're going through your preparations to do that. And then part of you is like, well, I'm never going to play my friend's bar mitzvah, so forget that. You don't know what's going to happen. The fact that I drove 150 miles one time to give a lesson to a room full of 7-year-olds up here in the mountains on ukulele, I never knew I was going to do that, but it happened, So the fact that one time I had to give a lesson obla-di obla-da, we gave it to 60 or 70 of the movers and shakers from throughout the city of Lakewood, Colorado. All these big wigs and executive corporate types were there, and we had a great time. I didn't know I was going to do that, and I'm up there singing, blah blah blah, right? It was terrible, but everybody had a good time. So there we go. Takeaway this week is let's dig these chords into our brain and really make sure we know how they work, so that we don't have to go look them up all the time. Like if I say, hey, this is a D minor, and you're like, oh yeah, I know what a D minor is. This F minor is scary. Okay, well, I can do F minor, no problem. Next week, our song will be For He's a Jolly Good Fellow that we dive into. This week, I'd like you just to spend a little bit of time digging through Drunken Sailor, getting comfy with all these chords. We'll run through a few of them next week, and then we will dig into For He's a Jolly Good Fellow, another one of those celebration songs where we want to bring our best skill set to it. And so there's that. Let's see how we doing on time. We got a couple minutes before I jump into book the TuffRawk. If you are new around here, books 1 and 2 are public domain, and they're on the website. You can download and do everything with them. If you want to do the Tuff Uke stuff, which you should want to, that is in the member section. So you have to have a members. You have to join the website in order to get access to that sheet music, it's probably worth it, you guys. It's $5 to go check it out. So you're making a $5 commitment to seeing if this is something you want to do, and then it's $25 a quarter, which you can cancel whenever you want. You just go into PayPal and shut it down. So there's no real risk there. What I do have, I hope that if you talk to anybody who's been involved with this program, that there's way more on there than you'll ever get to in your lifetime. So you kind of get to pick and choose what's important to you. I pick and choose what I think should be important to people as we're going along, and so like today we're going to be working on some new lullabies that I put together, but my job is just to continue loading more and more stuff on there. Your job is to figure out where you're at, what's just going well for you, what you want to go better, how you're going to move forward as a musician to find things that are meaningful, that make you happy, and other things that you're going to do that might make other people happy, right? So sometimes playing for yourself is the most important thing. Other time, it is not what you want to do. Sometimes you want to share music, right? And so when I'm sitting here at the house, I'm playing all this weird stuff from 1612. You know, that's what I do. When I go out in the public, they want to hear the Beatles, and they want to hear jazz, and they want to hear, you know, more modern stuff. So we do that. So a little bit of that, and also when you become a member, if there's a particular area that you want me to focus in on, you send me an email, and I really do put it on a list. Now, whether how quickly I can get to it or not it depends. But if it's something that I think, hey, we need more of that on there, absolutely, we'll do it. And Linda over here just mentioned, yeah, it's worth it to join. That's very kind of you, Linda. Thank you. All right, so it's 4 o'clock now. So we're not going to spend a ton of time on this, guys, because they are kind of hard songs, and I want to spend a little bit of time just making sure we know what we're doing here, and then I want you to work on them. I have 2 other lullabies done. I just unfortunately didn't get them posted for today, but I should have them posted. What is today? Friday? Today's Friday, right? I should have them posted this weekend, no problem. And so go down, if you haven't already picked them up, they're in the lullaby section. I started a new section called Lullabies. Hijkl, Lullaby, and the songs are Acadian Lullaby, Cossack Lullaby, and Tili Tili Bom. Okay, Acadian Lullaby is beautiful, right? Cossack Lullaby is kind of beautiful, and Tili Tili Bom is outright terrifying. And then next week, over the weekend, I'm going to post Hansel and Gretel Lullaby. It's beautiful. It's a modern song, brand new, out a couple years ago. And then I'm going to post this thing called Anti-Lullaby, which, if you have not seen the movie, the series on, I think it's Netflix, called Hannah. It's about sort of this young girl that they were trying to program into becoming a military person, and she figured, she started fighting back. And throughout the entire series, they play this super creepy lullaby called Anti-Lullaby, and I've been really working on it. It's really difficult to play, but it's got just this super haunting sound to it, so that'll get posted for you as well. So those are coming up. Let's grab Acadian Lullaby first, and I'm going to grab just the ukulele. We'll talk it through on the ukulele, and then you will go through either if you're on baritone or whatever, you'll do that. Hey Rita, welcome in. Time to go to sleep. What does that mean? Is that because I talk too much? I just got over COVID, so I'm wanting to fall asleep all the time. Let's talk about Acadian Lullaby. So when in book 1 we do Brahms Lullaby, right? It's awesome. It's one of the great lullabies ever. Acadian Lullaby is not that level awesome, but it's really a well-known Canadian song, French Canadian, I guess, and I've heard it a lot, and I think James Hill, if I remember right, has it in his book 1, right? And so let's take a look at it just for a minute. The words and stuff are not particularly inspiring. Sleep, sleep, my little baby, right? And so the words are not that great, but the melody is it's exactly what you'd think you'd want to have in a lullaby. So let's give it a try. I'm just going to play melody right now. If you only have a baritone, grab those chords. Hopefully you know what those look like on a baritone. And as always, if you're on baritone and we're playing off of the ukulele ones, and you don't know some of the chords, you need to go look them up and put them on your chart so that you will learn them, right? And same thing with ukulele. When we play from the baritone chart, which we will, you need to have looked at those and any chords that you don't know how to make. You've taken time to go look them up. Hey, Yago, how are you, man? Good to see you. All right, so sleep, sleep, my little baby. Okay, let's see if we can try just that. I think I'll do the tough uke, and then we'll talk about what painful uke is all about. Nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2. Nice, right? page 2. Sorry. Whoops. Hold on. My software's not cooperating with me. There we go. Page 2. Ready? Play. What's that 0 doing at the end of measure 18? Bom. You know what's really going on there? It's just giving you a note to get back up to the top of the page. All right, I played that all with my thumb down. Now I'm going to switch to claw. Should you play with claw? Should you play with thumb down? Probably on lullabies. Probably you're going with thumb, but don't just do thumb in your life, right? Most of the players that are in my orchestra tend to be over thumbers because everything I write works with your thumb. But you want to have a greater skill set than that. And I've been sitting on this drum stool all day today, and my tuchus is killing me. So, is this going to sound better? Probably not, but I still want that skill set to be able to do it, so that I always am trying both ways, and that way some parts of the song I may do that, or maybe an entire round of the song I may do it that way, but at least I've taken time to study the song in both claw plucking and thumb. That way you have both skill sets, and that way you have, twice the horsepower that you would have if you just do things one way. Okay. The other thing on this that you notice right away is you do it a lot at the F chord, and then your B flat is way up here, right? And so you got to get comfy with that. And I talk every single time we talk bar chords, I talk about the fact that this may happen, right? And if it does, that's what happened, right? And you just go right on merrily along as if you meant to do it that way. And so you end up with this. As if you meant to do it, right? So don't ever think when you blow a bar chord that it's the end of the world. It is gonna happen. It is part of being a fretted musician player, is you're gonna hit some stinky bar chords from time to time. You just let them roll off. Roll off. Oh, that's what you meant, Reed. They're supposed to put you to sleep. I was like, geez, she walked in and says, time to go to sleep. I'm thinking, man, do I drone on like that? But you're right. So this one is meant to put you to sleep. Tili Tili Bom will not put you to sleep. It will do the opposite, Rita. All right, so let's play through it one more time. And again, just be comfortable with the fact that B flat is coming up. Okay, from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second ending. Okay. So it's a nice song, right? It really is very peaceful and pretty. Nothing too out of line with it. It's for putting it's for putting Rita to sleep, and so you want to feel comfortable with that. Now, things. As I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking you guys are pretty good players, there's not a ton there to challenge you from a ukulele perspective, right? Getting the bar chord on is the only thing on here that's kind of hard. And then on that second page, the second page where that shows up, sorry, measures 9 and 11, you've got to have your bar D on and use your pinky to get to that 8. Right, so that's a little challenging. So that's something I would probably work on if it were me. I'd be like, oh boy, it's that stupid thing in there. Gary always puts those in arrangements. I hate it. And I'm like, I don't have a choice. I didn't write the song. I just arranged them, and that's how you have to play it. I would not put it in there if I didn't have to as well, because it's hard to play. So there's that. But some of these times, especially in the member stuff, right, we're going to be putting in painful uke. Okay, and you guys know what my view of painful uke is. Every single eighth note, you're doing something. So what I would work on first when I grab a new piece like this and I see, oh, there's a painful uke, sweet, that means I'm going to play legit fingerstyle ukulele. The first thing I do, I'd go through and make sure I knew my chords, okay? And in this case, I gave you all of the advanced chords on here so you don't have to think, right? And then I would go through and play the melody, because the melody still has to come out. When you're playing fingerstyle, the problem is you're playing a whole lot of notes and that are not necessarily the melody, and so it can get swallowed up when you're working on stuff. So you want to make sure that melody, that you know it, so that it stands out above everything else. And then I would use the tough uke is still going to be your foundation for painful uke, because you're still going to be grabbing the same chord shapes. In fact, I would look at that and be like, okay, I see what's going on. Those first 4 notes is that F chord, and then I'm just going to be plucking the middle strings. Okay, so with painful uke, you have to use the claw. Okay, and it's going to sound cool when you get it, but don't expect it to be easy. Okay, so we'll go nice and slow. Do every single thing in terms of how your chord shapes were in tough uke. Do those with painful uke, but instead of strumming, you're going to be plucking. Okay, so 1, and then I will count in 1, and really slow. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Sorry. Page 2. Okay, now I said I wanted you to play it super slow, and then we played it. I played it kind of on a fast side, so that felt like a lot, right? I made a few mistakes myself as we were going through there. So the way to do that is, you see how cool that sounds. Like that's as advanced as ukulele is going to get, other than being faster and weirder chords. That's exactly how the top players are going to be playing. Is they're going to be playing the main melody, and they're going to be putting in a ton of arpeggiated notes within the chord underneath that. And so if you look at that first measure, just the first measure, You hold that F chord with the 3, just like it says to do in Tuff Uke. Everything's there. I don't have to move anything. Bum, 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 bum. Now, the next thing it says, hey, make this bar chord D flat up here. And then everything I need to do is held down already. Bum, 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 bum. Right, so I don't have to move anything here. I just got to make sure to pluck the right strings. And then I go right back and measure 2 to that F chord with the 3 on the top. A minor. Okay, back to that F chord with the 3. Grab your high D, B flat, and then measure 4, back to your F chord with the 3 on top. And isn't that kind of fun? If you think about what you're doing here, you've got this F chord, you're going to play the strings 1 and 4. And then strings 1 and 3, and then strings 1 and 2, and then strings 1 and 3, and then you're going to change the chord. Okay, so take your time, go really slow, make sure you're doing exactly what it says in Tuff Uke, but then adding in all of the individually plucked notes. That will be, for some of you, it'll be like, oh yeah, it's just like the arpeggios. And for some of you, it'll be like, oh God, it's just like the arpeggios, right? But really, it's a very, very common way of arranging music at all levels, is take the melody, figure out what the chords are, put those together, and then, after you can play that, now go through and fill in all of the spaces. So if you look at the Tuff Uke line and measure 1, it's a perfect example. Half note, nothing. Quarter note, nothing. Eighth, quarter note, nothing. Quarter note, nothing. Half note, nothing, nothing, nothing. Right? So there's these long pauses. It's appropriate for a lullaby. That makes perfect sense. That's exactly how you think about it. Right? That's exactly what you'd think with a lullaby. But now you're amping it up as a musician. You're turning it into something a little bit elevated. Right? Much fancier, much more what people would think of as advanced. And I don't like the word advanced in ukulele because I think it sends a message that there are some people who matter and some people who don't. But I do know that this is an advanced tool, right? But it's not that advanced because it's exactly what you already were doing in Tuff Uke. You're already doing the chord, you're already doing the melody, you're already combining those together. Now we're just adding in some doodly-doos, as I like to call them, between the main moments in the song, between what's going on in the lullaby. So this is one that I think you could do yourself a ton of good by just going through and playing it. By the way, on the website in the member section, there are a number of songs where we've included a painful uke line, and I do it quite often for you guys because I know most of you are at the place where you're like, yeah, Tuff Uke, I get it, it's happening, not a big deal for me. But for many of you, Tuff Uke's plenty. Like, I'm still trying to figure that out. But once you figured it out, then you're thinking, what's next? What comes next? Well, this comes next, which is play Tuff Uke, but then add in as many decorative notes as possible, and hopefully you will end up with this sense of invincibility because you end up with this notion that every single song you come to, the paperwork is the recipe. It's a basic suggestion of what you're supposed to do. You are going to bring a whole lot more to the table than that. Now, if you're in an orchestra in a major city, that's not how it works at all. They hand you the Beethoven, and you play exactly what's on the paper at this incredibly high level and nothing else. You don't do anything else with it. But most of those people also then on Friday and Saturday nights go down to the jazz club and they want to play some stuff where they get to put some of their own personality into it, right? Sure, you can play exactly what's written on the paper because Beethoven wrote it and it's pretty good. But you can also take just the basic structure of a song, sleep, sleep, my little baby, right? and then add in all sorts of fancier things and turn it into something. I'm giving you here a bit of a recipe of how to approach that, which is get the Tuff uke and then start thinking about, without changing the chord here, what other notes would sound good in between those moments. So hopefully that gives you some general sense. Jan's like, yeah, a lot of arpeggios in here. That's really how I think about it, is here's the main moment, and then I'm going to add in some extra notes, and it's probably going to feel a whole lot like an arpeggio. Linda made it in from Vancouver, 75 and sunny. What? that doesn't even make sense. Glad you're having a great day. Yeah, love this. Always moving along. Yeah, that's the other nice part about fingerstyle, is you're never sitting around waiting for the next note. You are always doing something, and particularly on our instrument, it really works on guitar, but it works even better on ukulele in the sense that our notes only last about a one beat at best, right? Maybe 2 beats. By the time it gets to the third beat and the fourth beat, the ukulele is starting to die away, and it's kind of sad, right? There's like, you're waiting around for the next note. You'll notice that like when you're playing a whole note and it drops in the middle of a measure or in the middle of the song somewhere, and you got to play a whole note, you hit that note and you're like, oh God, I got to wait 4 beats before I get going again. And so you come in early, right? And we don't want that either. But if you got stuff to do, if you fill it in with some stuff, you won't have that happen. And also it makes you sound, fancier. We won't play it through on the baritone. We will play it through next week on baritone. So baritone players, you take a look at that. If you are on ukulele, don't neglect taking the baritone sheet and double checking the chords, because when I'm playing on baritone, you are on chords, and so you want to look at the baritone sheet and say, all right, do I know what my C chord looks like? Do I know what my F chord looks like? Do I know, and all of those things. And then if you don't, make yourself a little note of what they look like, because the chord grids on the paper don't match what's in your head. And so you're only looking at the names of the chords, and you're supposed to know at level Tuff uke, level rock, TuffRawk, whatever I'm calling this level. It's not really book 3. It's the end of the line kind of level. At that level, you're supposed to know how to make your chords, right? And you don't need the little chord chart necessarily to figure those out. And especially on a song like this, that's going to be in baritone, it's in the key of C, right? So you're going to know almost every chord that you need to play there. In fact, let's just pull. I don't have it in the book here yet because I haven't been working on it. But in baritone, do you know your C chord without looking at it? Do you know your F chord? Do you know your E minor? Okay, we just covered that in book 2. And that's going to keep coming back to haunt you. If you don't know what an E minor is, you better go look it up, right? And you make yourself a little note. Here's what E minor looks like. And then practice it a little bit, because we're going to be playing both, and I want you, when I'm playing an instrument that's not the one in your lap, I want you to be able to accompany me, and at your house, we're going to sound amazing, okay? You and me together, okay? All right, that's Acadian Lullaby. Kind of a long talk about it, but it covers mostly what we want to talk about with the other stuff as well. So let me pull up then the next one, which is the Cossack Lullaby. Now, years and years and years ago, I wrote this, and then it's been sitting in my computer forever. And the reason I wrote this is somehow I ran across a YouTube video of this, sung by this woman, and her voice is angelic, and you're like, I want to play that song. It is unbelievable. And so as I started putting it together, and when I was finishing it up for you guys, the words, obviously they're in Ukrainian or in some version of Southern Russian. It's not exactly clear what dialect it's in, but they're really mean lyrics. Sleep, sleep, baby dearest, hushaby, dear one. In your cradle, moon shines silent. Everything's going great. It's a lullaby, right? I will sing you a lullaby, and you will dream. Close your eyes and hushaby. Hear my song, Little Cossack. Your dreams hushaby, right? So it's about the Cossacks is a place. Southern is basically where the conflict is going on in Ukraine right now. Is basically that area. It was the Cossack area. Then the second verse changes everything. Dark waters flowing, hushaby, my dear one. Evil brings daggers from the rivers. Guys are coming out of the rivers with daggers. Your dear father lived through the battles. Warrior child, close your eyes and hushaby. Right? Hear my song, Little Cossack. warrior child hushabye. So it gets really dark really quick. And you don't know that when somebody's singing this in Ukrainian or whatever language it was in, and you're like, oh, I really want to know how that song goes on ukulele, and it actually sounds pretty cool. So let's go through and we'll play it one time. And again, the chances of you knowing it are almost zero. MP3 on the website is for you to use to go listen to it. But if you will just play along with me, either just the melody or the Tuff uke, one of the two, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Basic idea, right? Let's go back to the top. I'm going to switch to plucking to be just to model good behavior, okay? And then we'll go nice and slow. 1, 2, ready, play. Sleep, baby, dearest, hush by my dear, one evil brings da 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 dum da da. Second inning. Rats. So, if you'll play it enough times, all of a sudden you'll hear the lullaby in there, and you'll be like, "Oh, I kind of like this." Right? It's very not. It's of another world, another time, 1838 in the Cossacks, but it's really got this kind of cool, neat power behind it. And let's talk about a couple things, right? When you're talking about painful uke versus tough uke, with tough uke, you'll notice on here, wherever there's a chord, it's every single measure, the first chord, you get the chord, right? And then you get the notes, the melody, blah, blah, blah. And everything's going along just exactly like you'd expect a tough uke to do. You'd end up with a bar chord right in the middle of measure 7. Right? You're like, oh, I hate bar chords. Because sometimes they sound like that. Whatever, you just let it go. But then measure 9, I start adding in a little bit of the arpeggios, a little bit of the painful stuff. And so you go, I bum, will bum, sing bum, you bum, a bum, lullaby, bunk. And so you kind of put those in sometimes to just get this, what I think what Linda was saying earlier, makes it move along a little bit, right? Bum, 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 ba-dum, right? It gives you a little bit of energy, a little bit extra energy. So that's what's going on when we put in those extra notes in there. And remember, those extra notes, you want to play them with authority, but not with volume that's greater than the main melody notes, right? Because otherwise your ear will get confused as to what the melody note is. The other thing, some just musical stuff I added in here. I want to be doing more and more of this with you guys. I'm really notorious about not putting in any kind of dynamics or expression notes or any of that kind of stuff, because I want you to come up with your own. But in this case, I need to do more of it just so you get used to seeing stuff. Measure 12, when you get to measure 12, it says written, okay? And that means slow down gradually, right? And I could write slow down gradually if I was not a psycho, but in music you'll see it as R-I-T sometimes R-I-T-E-N. Sing you a lullaby, and you dream dreams, close your eyes and lullaby. You can feel it slowing down, and you can also feel it kind of going down. You can see even on the standard notation in 13 and 14 the melody's dropping, so you're kind of probably getting quieter. And then when you get to 15, and I give you that little carrot looking thing down there underneath the lyric that says, hey, make this louder, eyes and lullaby. That's the high moment in this song. And then I added in a little bit of arpeggio in there. 2 2 0, right? Bing ba da bum. Fermata. Song basically comes to a stop there, and then a tempo means go back to the original tempo. Hear my song, little Cossack, your dreams hush by. Right, that's bad singing, but that you get the idea. So pay attention to those other things that show up in the music when you can. You don't have to do any of them, but it's kind of designed to help you along. The other thing, and I screwed it up, measure 18. Okay, you come in with your G minor shape. Okay, so the 1 to 10, when you see 1 to 10, you know for sure that's what you're supposed to do. You want to drag that all the way up. There's no lyrics, so you want to make your ukulele really work on your behalf. Okay, and I went up to 12 because I'm an idiot, right? And it won't sound right. But drag your finger up and press down the whole way, and once you hit the 1, go kind of quickly. And you get that bong, and when you hit the high note, wiggle. Okay, don't lift your finger up, just wiggle. Get vibrato. Hopefully you can hear that. Okay, it's what violin players are experts at, right? Just wiggle it. Sometimes it's easier if you use your ring finger. Okay. And you do have to clip. You do have to pluck the 10 when you get there. Otherwise, there won't be any sound. But trying to get that ending perfect, right? Now, again, the baritone stuff is exactly the same. There's no change in what you're going to play, but the key you play it in is different. So if you're on ukulele, you're going to be grabbing that baritone version of this, and your key chords are now looking at D minor, A, G minor, A7. Okay, so those are a little bit less common for you, so you may need to go look a couple of them up. B flat, you have it memorized, right? You're like, oh God, I hate that chord. But there are lots and lots of slightly less common chords in this one, so you might want to play through it a couple of times just to see. And on the website, again, there will be Cossack Lullaby ukulele and Cossack Lullaby baritone. Go get your chords written onto the paper and then play along with it just with the chords to make sure your chords are right. You'll know because you hit a chord and it won't sound at all like it's supposed to, and you'll be like, I must be doing something wrong, right? So I love this piece of music. I just think it's really beautiful. Now, here's a piece of music that I want you to love. Okay, so don't get judgmental quite yet. Pull up Tili Tili Bom. Pretty and kind of sad. Yeah, that calls. Yeah, honestly, I don't remember her name. I think what I'll do while I'm just waiting for you to pull up Tili Tili Bom, I'm gonna see if I can happen to find the name of the woman who sings that on Cossack Lullaby. If I can find that, if I can find this version of it. Here, Sumijo, Sumijo. If you have time, in fact, I'll just copy paste it. Whoops, onto our website, so that you have our website member portal. I'll post it over on next to that, just so you can hear her version of it. It's really, really haunting and really, really beautiful. And so if I scroll down here to Lullaby, let's go Lullaby, 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 EFGHIJK, Lullaby. So I'm posting under Cossack Lullaby. Well, I have to hit this button first, and then I can post it. My Cossack Lullaby. So underneath Cossack Lullaby, Command V, I'm going to post a link to her YouTube video. And that way you could go listen to what inspired me to write it in the first place. And open link in a new window, update, and then it just needs to be that. And her name's Sumijo, and I just think listening to her voice, you're like, oh, well, and she's from the Cossack region, if I remember right. You're like, oh, is that what that means? And then the song will come together pretty easily for you. She must be famous because she's sitting in front of a Learjet on the video. Yeah, with that vocalist, you'd be like, oh, that's a cool song. Now, the other song that I need you to like, and I think I will also post the Tili Tili Bom. Tili Tili Bom. This is a weird lullaby that showed up on YouTube a few years back, and nobody knows where it came from. And there's all these, and I've looked through the web a million times, and it is not at all like, it's a super creepy lullaby. And I had always wanted to put the sheet music together. Nobody's done that yet either. And so you're on top of this. You guys are on the cutting edge of what's happening in the world of lullabies, especially creepy lullabies. And so I'm going to post the link to this page as well. And it's one of these things that scares the heck out of you. You're like, surely nobody actually sang this to their children. And I don't know if this is a made-up lullaby that somebody wants you to think is real, or if it is a real lullaby, but it's super fun. Tili Tili Bom, oh, close your pretty eyes. Someone's walking right outside, knocks upon your door. Tili Tili Bom, the silent night is creeping. Someone standing right inside, watching as you sleep. Hear his breath, smell his scent. Closer, closer. Tili Tili Bom, you hear the nightbird screaming. Someone's lurking right behind, staring right at you. Hush now. Hear his breath, smell his scent. Closer, closer, closer. I mean, like, you're like, what? Who writes stuff like that? Even Gary wouldn't write something that creepy. So let's go through it. Let me play it for you, and then this week work on it. This is one of my great joys in life, is this song. I don't know why. It's just so funny and so weird. So grab your F chord, and nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. To the top. spaghetto. Repeat. And back up to the top. Past the repeat. How about that? It is, mostly I like to give you songs that sound pretty, right? That's what we do on ukulele. But every now and then I got to give you something that presses your brain just a little bit, makes you do some notes that don't belong together. A whole bunch of stuff in this song, it just doesn't even belong. The A flats, they have no business being in there. E flats, what in the world are they doing? I had to put this on a C major blank, write it in F. This whole thing's a one chord song. It's just F, but nothing in here seems to fit into the chord correctly. It's all over the place on your instrument, and it creates this sense of, hey, I'm gonna put you to bed, but there's this creepy guy outside. You better be asleep because he's gonna get you. And I don't know. There's something I kind of enjoy about that. All right, so that's now you know where my head is with children and lullabies. Spend a little bit of time on that one. It's kind of fun. Go listen to the MP3. Go listen to the on the member site underneath the sheet music for both of those two. I posted you a link to get you what inspired me to put them together as music. And then this weekend I will post the other two lullabies so that we'll have plenty to work on. Yeah, Rita says, yeah, definitely creepy. Yeah, it's supposed to be creepy, right? That's the purpose of that. And I think while it's a little bit hard to play, it's definitely not outside of our wheelhouse. We've played lots of stuff that's way harder than this, and because it's a lullaby, you can take your time getting to all of these moments, and it really works as a piece of music. So this weekend, double check, come around and grab the other two lullabies that I'm going to post up there. One's really, really sweet, and one is equally creepy to this one. It's called Anti-Lullaby. That gives you a sense of what it's about. And it's from a movie series called Hannah that I recently watched. Let's see. That's what I know about levels. Hopefully, it's so good to get back, you guys. I'm sorry that it's been so long since we played ukulele together. It's just been one thing after another, and you know how sometimes you just get troubles piled on top of trouble. That's kind of what I've been going through here a little bit, and I'm hoping that I'm getting beyond that, and I'm hoping things are going to start going a little bit better, and I'm hoping you're doing well. By the way, I did get COVID. I got through it just fine. I'm fully vaccinated with both of the boosters. So if you haven't done that yet, go do it, because I feel very confident that it helped me. The other thing, this is a side note, because I teach harmonica and you guys can come to harmonica class, my lungs are strong, right? And so while I did have a pretty terrible cold during that period, I was able to recover pretty quickly, and I do attribute part of that to just having really good quality solid lungs from playing harmonica. Harmonica is not the instrument you want to play. Harmonica is an instrument you can play for half an hour each day, and it'll make you stronger. In fact, in 15 minutes I'm going to go over to Mammoth Gardens and I'm going to teach that class. So I want you guys to give that some thought, right? We're living in times when you need to be strong, and nice strong lungs are not that hard to get. You can get them musically by just grabbing a harmonica and coming and joining me, and I'm lovely, right? Philip made it in today. Good to see you, boss. Look forward to hearing the vocal. Yeah, look forward to hearing the vocal. You notice I didn't sing these because I'm like, I ain't no way. But friend is Ukrainian and he's always sad. Maybe most of their music is sad. They've had a challenging history. I think that's true, Jan. I think you find in those cultures that had been seeing war after war after war, the whole Balkan Islands thing. I mean, just invasion after invasion for centuries, right? Similar down in that Cossack region, just everybody competing for the same square footage. And so you do tend to get, I can imagine living under that environment where you're just constantly under siege, that some of your art and music would be kind of sad. It's a good point. And Rita says definitely creepy. Definitely creepy. Yeah, I love it because of that. Because most of the songs we play are fun, right? Nice and pretty. Slightly reminiscent of Twinkle Twinkle. A little bit, right? Twinkle Twinkle. Yeah, a little like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star Gone Bad. I like that, Philip. Yeah. All right, guys. We're back at it. I intend to meet every Friday from now on. And so hopefully you will talk yourself into doing it and then talk two friends into doing the same thing. Let your ukulele people know what is going on. We're not going to do a ton on Fridays. I'm not going to load you up like I used to with sheet music and all that. Book 1 will have a song. Book 2 will have a song. And then in this level, we will probably play stuff for multiple weeks because this level is, I'm wanting you to get the idea that just rushing through songs isn't probably the best way to do it. Digging into a song and spending a little bit of time with it is a better solution to your long-term ability as a musician. So that's it. Great fun to have you guys. Carol, well, I won't go through the whole list. Thank you all for being here. We have a nice group today. And I hope, and of course, if you are looking at the replay, thank you for checking that out. And that's it. That's what I'll talk to you about. Go grab a harmonica and come join me over at Mammoth Gardens. Peace.